Welcome to the Buick Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon, and on this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. Do you want outdoor apparel that's designed with a conscience? If so, check out Northbound Gear. They are a leader in creating innovative, sustainable, high-quality products designed to enhance your outdoor experience. Whether you hunt, fish, explore, camp out, or just enjoy nature, they'll have something that suits your needs. I've tried it all, and their adventure, water-resistant pants, Explorer summer pants, the 2-in-1 zip-off pants, and the men's Apex waterproof jackets are all my favorite. I really can't decide which one I like more, and I wear them all daily. I've taken the gear bear hunting in the northern swamps of BC, hiking and fossil hunting on the river and waterfalls, and wore them out on the west coast fishing for salmon, halibut, prawns, and crabs. Not once have they let me down. Check them out at northboundgear.co, and if you use my promo code Sheldon15, you will save 15% off your order, including sale items. As an added bonus, they also plant one tree right here in Canada with every purchase. So again, that's northboundgear.co and use promo code Sheldon15 to save 15% off your order. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Buick Outdoors podcast. If you're new around here, I'm your host Sheldon, and right now we are basically wrapping up our chicken season for the year. Yesterday was our last hunt for the season, and for us it's been a pretty good year. The numbers have been a little bit low this year, but that just kind of happens with chickens. They go through cycles, same thing with rabbits. Last year the numbers were starting to decline by quite a bit, and then this year is kind of when they hit kind of the bottom point. So generally speaking, starting next year, their numbers should start to climb back up, and we should have an even better year. And it usually what will happen is next year will be a little bit better, and the year after that, maybe up to 2 years, is when it'll kind of climb and peak, and then it kind of plateaus there for a year or two, and then it starts to kind of come down again. So it's just how it is, it's one of those things where, yeah, it happens every year. You can pretty well bet money on the cycle of chickens and rabbits. It's just, it's one of those things that just happens. But yeah, last year I used my 17 HMR, I think, pretty well all year. And this year I want to change it up a little bit. So I used that new 22 that I got. It was a Marlin Model 925. And on top of that, I just had a little Bushnell 3-9 by 32 scope. Just shooting regular old blazers. I usually buy a brick of 22 bullets at the beginning of the year in the springtime. And then usually those 500 rounds, they last me all spring, summer, and fall, and throughout the winter. And then come springtime, I usually buy another brick. This year I kind of screwed up though, because I think maybe around Christmas time, I bought a brick of bullets, and then this spring I bought another brick. They didn't have blazers, so I bought a brick of Federal, and then starting out this fall, I bought a third brick, this one of blazers, so I got pretty well 1.5 bricks of blazers, so that's like 750 rounds of 22 bullets, and then another 500 of American Eagle. Except the American Eagle, I don't know if they come in the 500 round bricks or if they're 400. But either way, I'm good for the next few years now. So if you ever see me uptown and I'm buying a box of 22 bullets, just kind of slap me upside the head for me, would you? Because, yeah, I definitely have enough. Yeah, but, yeah, so yesterday's hunt, it was quite a fun one. Like I said, I used my 22 this year, and I wanted to change things up just on the last hunt. I kind of like using different things. That's why I used my old 16 gauge single shot shotgun on a bear this spring. I don't like using the same old thing every time. I just love switching things up, having oddball calibers or trying weird things like the single shot 16 gauge shotgun for a bear. I mean, there's three left fielders there. You're using a single shot, you're using a shotgun, and you're using a 16 gauge all on a bear. Like, it's yeah, it's yeah, that's the hat trick there. But anyways, so yeah, yesterday I took out my little single shot 12 gauge. It's a Revolution Armory SB1W 12 gauge. That thing, it comes with 3 chokes. You have the cylinder modified and then the full. The one I was using is the cylinder. Basically, it's a thread protector. And I use that one because when you're chicken hunting, typically you're within that 25-yard range. When you're using modified, I believe it's roughly 35-yard range. And then full choke is 45 yards and past. If you look all that stuff up, you'll get a much better description of it. I'm just giving you the short and sweet kind of thing. And then with that too, I was using just regular old federal kind of like target rounds, a blue box, 2 3/4 inch shot, or 2 3/4 inch shells. I believe it's 7 shot I was using. I'm not too sure. I'm not much of a shotgun guy at all, and with those, it's kind of like a box of 22 bullets for 25 shotgun shells. It's like $8, and because they're not a migratory bird, you don't have to use steel shot. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Plus, the shotgun shells, it's kind of like my 22 bullets. Every so often, you just kind of buy a box because you're there, kind of a thing. And then over the years, you kind of start to accumulate quite a few. But I definitely burnt through some of them yesterday. And we went out. We got 9 rough grouse. I want to say we've seen about 13. A couple of them there, they just kind of flew away before we could get stopped and stuff. And then there was a couple where there's a group of 3. I shot 2, 1 flew away, kind of a thing. So whatever. I mean, you can't really kill them all, and even if you could, I wouldn't want to, anyways. But yeah, it was a blast running around with the shotgun. I usually feel like I'm cheating though when I'm using my shotgun because you just don't miss. At least with my 22 and my 17. I mean, even with them, I don't miss that much. But at least, the opportunity, the chance is there. Where when I'm using a shotgun, man, if them chickens are in your sights and they don't fly away, they're toast. But another thing I don't really like about using shotguns too is just the pellets. With the 16 gauge, it's not too bad. I have that one figured out because it's just a smooth bore. So I put the bead on its head and I pick it up till its head disappears, and then you pull the trigger, and usually it just clips the very top of their head, and I very rarely do I get pellets actually in the breast. But yeah, with the 12 gauge there's quite a few birds that have pellets in their chest. But I mean, it is what it is. You're using a shotgun, right? So yeah, you just kind of gotta cut around them, rinse them off real good, and just kind of be careful when you're eating them, really. But for me, with the ones that I got yesterday, I'll be cutting them off the breastbone, vacuum wrapping them up. And then also part of doing that is any parts where they're shot up or whatever, I just cut it off, throw it out. I'm not messing around with that. You get bloodshot and pellets, and a lot of feathers and stuff kind of get sucked into them little holes and stuff. And I don't like chewing on that stuff. And I haven't lost any teeth from chewing on a pellet yet. But yeah, that's how I go about cleaning up my shotgun birds. When I'm gutting them, I do just the typical usual way. Just grab them by their feet, run my other hand up their breast where it comes to a point. You grab that skin, you pull it all the way down until it exposes the top of their breast, where the V is on the wishbone, and usually their little food sack is right there. So you just kind of pull that out of the way. With me, I take my left hand, I put it into the V on the breastbone, and I actually put it inside the cavity. And then my right hand, I take it, I wrap my index finger around its neck, and you just one steady pull away from each other. And then that way the breast and the wings stay on your left hand, doesn't go anywhere near the dirt. The guts and all that good stuff stays on your right hand. You can pull the legs off if you like and eat them. And then also, when you're doing it that way too, like 90% of the time, what ends up happening is on the inside of the breast, the heart and kind of like the liver will usually stay in there. Sometimes it gets pulled out, but whatever, you just gotta go find that, really. But I like to pull them off, feed them to the dogs, feed them to the cats. My brother there, he said, his dog just had like a birthday party kind of a thing, and Blaine said that he's his dog's favorite. So I got some chicken hearts for her. I'm gonna get that number one spot back. But yeah, I'm not much of a shotgun guy. Even though I think I have 5 of them. I think I got 3 12 gauges, my 16 gauge, and then a 410. The 410 and the 16 are both smooth bore. One of my 12 gauges is a smooth bore, because that was just meant to be a slug gun when we were beaver trapping, because we didn't want to go through the process of renewing our proficiency test so we can pack pistols. So we just kind of got rid of that whole idea and got a shotgun instead. And then that one too, there's a big rod in the buttstock. You pull that out, you replace with a little pistol grip, and you have this short little itty bitty thing. But yeah, that was strictly just for kind of bears and stuff. And really, it's Dad's shotgun that I borrowed once, and I just haven't given it back to him. But I think I'm claiming ownership of it now. Next year I want to use a few more of my 22s. For a little while in time there, I kept buying 22s for some reason. Just random oddball guns that I'd find that were just kind of cool, secondhand, consignment deals, whatever. Like the one I got is I believe it's a Norinco JW20, I think. And what it is kind of like a Japanese knockoff of an M1 carbine. And that thing is actually pretty nifty. It's a real short 22 with a wood stock and semi-auto. And it's a blast to shoot, but it's not overly too accurate. I want to say probably about 8 years ago I bought that. And I used it that season. But, yeah, you see a chicken, you gotta shoot about 3 times at it. And you'd eventually get them, but, it's not a very consistent gun, but it's a cool gun. So for me, I mean, I want to use it again just for the cool factor. And then also got my Ruger 1022. That one I kind of screwed up. When I bought that, it had just the regular black synthetic stock on it. But at the time, I thought kind of tactical equipment looked cool. So I bought a new stock for it. And like those 1022s, you can spend 10 grand on random stocks and attachments and stuff and not even scratch the surface on what's available for 1022s. But anyways, I bought this fancy military looking stock, slapped it on there, thought it looked cool, misplaced the regular stock that came with it, and then now I just hardly pack the thing, just because I'm not really into that tactical looking stuff anymore. But next year I'll probably just suck it up, pull it out of the gun closet there, and start using it again anyways. At least make 1 or 2 trips with it. It's always kind of fun just to mix her up a bit. And that's the kind of like the fun part about chicken hunting though too. For me, like, I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, fatter, or lazier or what, but when it comes to like bear hunting and chicken hunting, and well, small animal, like small game, like squirrels and stuff too, and most likely duck and goose, but I just haven't done that yet. But, I'm starting to lean more and more towards that hunting style where it's not necessarily I can just be a fat, lazy guy and just drive around, but, I can bring Shelby, I can bring my brother, I can bring his woman, I can bring dogs. Yesterday we brought a cat with us chicken hunting. And it's fun. It's awesome, and it doesn't discriminate against anybody, whether you're young, old, you have disabilities, uh, male, female, whatever. If you want to use a shotgun, bow, 22, I'd have to double check the regulations, but I think any centerfire rifle you can use on a chicken. It's wicked fun. You can drive around, listen to music, you can talk, sing, laugh, whatever. It's just enjoyable to be out. And I'm not saying, hunting moose and elk isn't enjoyable, but like it's more of a relaxing kind of a BS session with your buddy kind of a thing. When you're out hunting chickens, and it also brings back just like childhood memories. You know what I mean? Uh, some of the best times of my life have been driving around with my dad shooting chickens with like the 22 Magnum kind of a thing. And now I'm able to kind of not really pass it on, sort of say, but bring people with me for my happy time kind of a thing. I don't really know what else to really kind of call it. Sounds kind of quirky and cheesy, but it is what it is. And your success rate too is usually pretty high. So if you want to take a kid out hunting for the first hunting trip, if you take them, say, deer hunting, that kind of seems to be where you start kids off. Is you gotta get them their first deer. Up in the north, it's kind of first deer / first moose kind of a thing, But with the moose, I can kind of see, a lot of truck hunters going after moose with their kid kind of a thing. But when it comes to deer, it's a lot of getting up not super early. I mean, like when you hunt them in, say, November, when I think is when you should hunt them, not this early season stuff. But you hunt them in November, so I mean, like, really, you wake up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, drive out, sit in the blind, and you just hang out with your kid all day. I can see that being good for the parent, but for the kid, depending on the kid, a lot of them, their attention spans are extremely short, so you have to bring, like, an iPad or a phone or something like that. And then usually in November, it's getting cold. Like, it's nothing to be -20 in November. So then you have to start packing heaters and stuff. And if you don't, the kid's just going to be cold and miserable kind of a thing. But when it comes to, like, chicken hunting, typically September, October for me is like the time to hunt chickens. But you do it September to October. You don't have to set an alarm. You just pack a lunch, hop in the truck, and you just kind of cruise. You can BS with your kid, do whatever, and it's a nice, easy going, relaxing time. And like the difference between like chickens and deer is like with a deer, you could sit in a blind every day for a month and not even see a deer, let alone get your kid to shoot them. Where with chickens, I mean, yesterday I shot 9. The day before, if I would have went out, I probably could have shot another 10. So like the success rate is huge, and hunting isn't about the kill. But when you're first starting out, you kind of have to be taught that it's not about the kill. So at first, it almost is about the kill because you really want to hook them, kind of a thing. And you're not going to hook them by putting them in a deer stand where they're freezing cold for a weekend or whatever, right? You're going to do one weekend with that. And then, next weekend there you go, nah, I'm going to stay home with mom where it's nice and warm. We're going to cuddle up on the couch and watch a movie and drink hot chocolate. You can go freeze your ass off out there by yourself. So it is a great way to introduce your kids into chicken hunting. I mean, and even if you don't get a bunch of chickens, it's a great time. Even talking about, like people with disabilities or getting up there in age and stuff. One of my last hunts with my grandpa, I think it was my last hunt with him, was a chicken hunt. And the poor guy, he was just, his eyesight got so bad and he didn't replace his glasses until, I want to say it was like a couple weeks before this chicken hunt. He finally got new glasses, and I think my dad bought those for him. Same with the new scope for his 22, because his old one, I guess, was just done for. But anyways, the poor guy, he couldn't quite see the chickens. So, and just grandpa being grandpa, you know how them old boys are, kind of stubborn old mules. He ends up taking his glasses off, put them up on the dash of my truck, and he's leaning out the window, and the chicken's up in a tree, and he can't quite see it. So, and he keeps kind of crouching down lower and lower and lower, to the point where the gun it's way above the chicken. Like, the chicken's halfway up the tree. Grandpa's aiming at the top, and he's complaining and saying that he can't see the chicken. And I said, well, Grandpa, the chicken is down quite a bit lower. And then the poor guy, he ducked down so low, he pretty well got stuck on the floorboard. So I had to grab his gun, unload it, help him up off the floorboard, back onto the seat. And then he couldn't find his glasses. Well, he couldn't see where he put his glasses on because he took his glasses off. So I had to grab the glasses off the dash for him, hand it back to him. He put them back on, and yeah, it was a good time. Then he'd take a couple of little pop shots at him and stuff, and I can't remember how many he got, but I honestly think he only got like maybe one or two, but it was still a blast. I drove around with him for hours that day and just let him shoot at chickens, and then yeah, it was a good time. When we were driving around though, he kept taking off his seatbelt, and pretty soon the truck's dinging at him. I said, hey, Grandpa, you gotta either buckle in your seatbelt or just buckle it in behind you if you don't actually want to wear it, just to make the truck quit dinging. And he'd, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. 10 seconds later, ding, ding, ding. Grandpa, you put on your seatbelt. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do that. And he'd clip it in and then go around the next corner, and sure as shit, there's a chicken sitting right there. So off comes the seatbelt, and out comes the gun, and now he's looking for his clip, and it was just a vicious circle. And then we started driving again, and pretty soon, ding, ding, and he was just sitting there, just staring out the window, watching the trees go by, not a care in the world, couldn't hear it dinging. Yeah, it was such a great time with him. And then I got the old satellite radio in the truck too, and I don't know how many channels are on that thing. It's like 300 channels, and man, you couldn't find a single thing that he liked on there. I think he was looking for kind of like one specific song or something, and we'd be sitting there thumbing through all the channels, and how about this one here? No, I don't like that one. Okay, yeah. And go to the next one, This one here? No, I don't, nope, never liked that guy. Alright, get on to like the new stuff, and oh, what the hell is this? Well, that's the new country music. Oh, hell, that ain't country. And so you just keep scrolling through, and pretty soon we just turned the radio off and just drove around with the windows rolled down, dogs in the back seat. Yeah, it was definitely one of the better hunts I've been on. And plus, too, speaking of losing his glasses, he kept losing his 22 bullets. I can't remember if he had a bag of 22 bullets or if it was a box of 22s. But yeah, he'd have it in his shirt pocket. He'd pull them out, take one or two bullets out, put it in his magazine. Then he'd set on center console. Then he'd be looking for his bullets, and he'd find them on center console. And then he'd put them on the dash. Then he'd lose them again, so he'd put them into his pocket on his pants, and then he'd pull them out, put them in his shirt pocket, and then he'd be back into his pants. Then he'd be in the cup holder or something. So eventually it was just, yeah, Grandpa, when you're done shooting there, you just unload your gun, pass me your clip, I got your bullets here, I'll load everything for you, and you'll be good to go. Because there's a few times where he forgot to reload his magazine, and you'd see a chicken, then he'd have to stop, find his magazine, find his bullets. By then the chicken flew off, and then he's still trying to load everything up, and it'd be like 5 minutes just sitting there parked and try not to laugh at the poor guy. And he'd look up and, all right, where's the chicken at? Well, Grandpa, he just flew away. And well, okay, well, we'll just keep driving. We'll look for another one. Yeah, no problem, Grandpa. Yeah. Yeah, when he passed away there, Dad was going through all of his guns and stuff, and Grandpa's old 30-30 came out of the closet. This podcast is brought to you by Rampage Coffee. Rampage Coffee is crafted in micro batches to produce a premium quality coffee that is just not possible any other way. Step up your coffee game and get amped with premium quality freshly roasted coffee. Right now I'm waiting on the sampler bundle where you get to try all 4 blends for around $20. It comes with a full force premium espresso, Code Black dark roast, Riot medium roast, the C4 extreme caffeine blend, and it also comes with some pretty cool looking stickers. If you head over to rampagecoffee.com and use our promo code Buick, you'll receive 10% off. That's rampagecoffee.com, promo code BUICK to get 10% off and get amped with Rampage Coffee. Yeah, Dad was going through Grandpa's guns there, and he pulled out his old Winchester 94 30-30. He asked me if I wanted that thing, so couldn't say no to that. Pretty well, it's an old relic. I think my dad shot his first moose with that gun out on the 98 road. So it's a cool little piece of history. It's not exactly a collector's item, but it's one that it's more favorable. It's the Winchester 94, and it's the pre-1964. So it's, people want that one more than the ones that are built after 1964. The reasoning why, I'm actually not too sure. I did a bunch of research on it when I first got it, but I kind of forgot about it now. But when I looked up the serial number, I think it said that the one that Grandpa had was made in 1958. So it is pre-64, but it's just barely there. But yeah, when I got that thing, you can tell that the front sight somehow got broken and knocked off or whatever. And then Grandpa tried to epoxy one back on, and then that one also fell off. So yeah, I took that to Core Lanes to get them to do that, and a few other things. The thing hasn't been cleaned for probably a couple of decades, to be honest. And then the firing pin also had to be replaced because the firing pin broke. Again, how that happened, I have no idea. The old boy there, he was pretty rough on equipment, I guess, at times. But yeah, I took it down to Core Lanes. They fixed it up for a few $100. They completely disassembled it. They washed absolutely everything. They soldered on a new sight. They took it to the range. They shot it a couple of times. They sent the spent brass and the target back with it just to confirm that they took it all apart and it's back in shooting condition, basically. And then also the target shows you that, where the bullet hit, and it was pretty accurate now. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I would absolutely love to hunt with it. Uh, I honestly hadn't even shot it yet. Uh, I just, I don't know. I bought a box of bullets for it, put it in the closet in case one day I want to shoot it. But for now, it's kind of one of those guns where I like to have it just to say that I have it. It's like a family relic. I got grandma's 30-06, grandpa's 30-30, my great grandpa's 16 gauge shotgun. So it's just kind of almost like a family heirloom or whatever those things are called. So it's nice to have. Uh, Plus, if I was going to hunt with it, uh, I would want to hunt a moose with it on the 98 road, because that's kind of where the gun got its beginnings from. Uh, you know, Grandpa packed it on the 98 road. My dad packed it on the 98 road. Got his first moose with it down there, and so yeah, it's one of those things where I would just can't take it home, kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, 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 it's a nice little gun, but we'll see. Maybe this spring I'll take it out and maybe shoot a bear with it. I'm not too sure, because this spring I really want to shoot a bear with a muzzle loader, and I don't know if I want to use like a I don't know, like a CVA Wolf, kind of a modern muzzle loader, or if I want to get like a percussion cap muzzle loader, or maybe even like a flintlock. Uh, Again, just going back to like that cool factor, having a flintlock with like a 50 caliber round ball and a patch. Uh, to take that bear hunting would just it'd be wicked. Plus, now that I do YouTube, it would be a wicked YouTube video too. But I've always been into doing like that kind of weird one-off type of stuff. Uh, like what I was talking about, like it might have been on my last podcast about the 257 Weatherby. I bought one just before the big craze happened. Now it's kind of like old news, but at the time, if you bought a Weatherby, you pretty well bought like a 300 or a 7mm or the 378. And for me, I looked at ballistics of the 257, and it just seemed like a barrel burner, but it was something that hardly anybody ever really used at the time. And then also it was Roy Weatherby's favorite caliber, so it was, why not give her a go? Unfortunately now though, it's so expensive to shoot a Weatherby, and I don't reload. And even if you did, I mean, really, you do save quite a bit of money, but uh, I'm more of a convenience type of a guy. I don't want to come home and have to reload bullets for half a day or whatever. I'd rather just go down to backcountry in Fort St. John, walk up to the till and say, pass me that box there. And if you do that with a Weatherby, I don't know what it is now, but a couple years ago, it was $120 for a box of 20 for my 257. So every time you pull the trigger, basically it was $6. So, yeah, it was a bit expensive. So I had to I didn't necessarily have to give it up because of that. I kind of burnt the barrel out, I think, on my Weatherby. I didn't really take that good of care of it when I first got it when I was a kid. I'd shoot it till the barrel was red hot, kind of a thing, and yeah. Plus, it's like the Vanguard, so the steel isn't quite top notch stuff. It's still pretty good stuff. Like, I would have absolutely no problem whatsoever buying another Vanguard, but I just have other things I want to buy first. But yeah, the weird oddball stuff. It's I don't know. It's always kind of pulled me towards that. That's why I like just kind of changing things up for when it comes to bears and chickens. elk and deer and moose. It's one of those things where it's already a challenge enough as is. So I don't really want to be experimenting, using like a single shot shotgun on an elk. As as cool as that sounds, uh, you struggle already as is trying to get an elk. So when you put that on top of it, and you're just kind of asking for failure, So I'll leave that for the bears and the chickens, because usually it's not a slam dunk, but your chances of getting a spring bear are extremely high around here. Uh, in the fall, it's quite a bit lower because there's so much for them to eat, but in the springtime, man, there's bears everywhere, and it's a blast. That's why I keep telling people, if you want to get into hunting, either start with chickens or start with bears. Uh, a spring bear, if you screw up and they get your wind and they run off, keep driving, go around the corner, you'll find another one. And it is that easy to find black bears in the spring. Pretty well, I treat it like chickens, kind of. You drive around. I got my dogs with me. I got my woman, my brother, his girlfriend, my dad, my stepmom, whatever, and we just go out and drive around. You see a bear, you stop the truck, turn it off, walk up to it. If it runs off, well, you go back, get into the truck, start driving again. And it's enjoyable. Like it's kind of, at times it can be hard work, uh, depending on how many bears you see in a day. But the hard work is basically just stalking up onto the bears. After you shoot them, it's fairly easy, unless you want to do a bear for a rug. Then yeah, that takes a little bit of work. But for me, we just shoot bears just for the meat, basically, and for predator control. So it's a win-win for us. Plus, they make phenomenal sausages. If you haven't, well, some people have a bad time with bears. Just, I don't know, they have the weird feeling that, they're eating something that can eat them, kind of a deal. But, I don't know. Plus, there has been times where people have shot, like, a bad bear, where it's a bear eating salmon or a bear eating garbage and stuff. Don't let those things kind of fool you or to turn you away from it. If you get a bear that's roaming out here, one of the best things you can eat. It makes absolutely great, great roasts and soups and stews. Some of the best sausages you'll ever eat in your life. Pepperoni is amazing. As long as you take it to a good butcher who knows what he's doing, takes his job seriously, then you will never have a problem with a bear whatsoever. And yeah, it's hard to beat. It's only November, and I'm already counting down the days till May. I absolutely love bear season. There's a reason why I take 3 weeks of holidays in the spring, and I just live in the holiday trailer and hunt bears, bounce around from spot to spot, check out new areas, check out old areas, check out usual areas, and man, it's a blast. I usually get two. Shelby will get maybe one. My brother will come out and get one or two. My dad gets one or two. Uh, Sometimes I have other people that want to come out, and I kind of show them around, point them in the right direction, kind of a thing. And it's a blast to have everybody out, as long as as long as you're being respectful and all that good stuff. It's fun. Uh, but yeah, like I said, here it is November. What day is it today? November the 8th. So yeah, ice fishing season is right around the corner. I think last year, around the 30th of November, I want to say, maybe the first week of December, that's when we had kind of like our first outing for ice fishing. So we're pretty well there. We're counting down the days. I really don't know where I'm going to be going much this year. Uh, on my next days off, I'm picking up a snowmobile. I had a mountain machine there last year, and yeah, that just wasn't quite for me. I got back into it, bought all the gear, went out a few times, and it was fun. But when I was doing that, it was taking me away from what I love to do. Right? I didn't do hardly any ice fishing. I didn't do hardly any trail riding around here on the pipelines. And sorry, that wasn't last winter. That was 2 winters ago when I had the mountain machine there. But yeah, I'm getting a nice little Tundra with the 550 fan cooled in it from old Dad. He's thinking about kind of selling off a bunch of his stuff and getting out of the country and kind of going south. So yeah, he's offered it up to me. So yeah, I'm picking that up from him, and yeah, it's gonna open up a lot more opportunities because there's a lot of places around here where the ice fishing is good in the winter, but the problem is that a lot of the roads and stuff are industry roads, and unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever side you're on, a lot of the wells are getting shut in now. So in the road maintenance is pretty well zero. There's no upkeep in them at all because they are kind of private owned roads. And then also in the winter, they don't get plowed out. Nobody's going to plow into a road that goes to nowhere, kind of a thing. So this year, at least now, if I want to go to some of them lakes, I can just load everything up into the snowmobile and into my sleigh, and I can just head in there for a day or two, kind of a thing. But so far, the usual Lake Inga, my absolute favorite lake around here, for ice fishing. Inga Lake is kind of like the chicken hunting of the north. Usually when you go, you catch fish. You don't need anything fancy. The fish are easy to catch. If the weather turns absolute terrible and you want to get out of there, it's 30 minutes, well, maybe about 40 minutes from the house. So if you want to pack up your stuff and just go home and be done with it, you can. And, if you leave at noon, you'll be home by 1. Other places I want to check out too is Boot Lake, possibly Boulder Lake. Boot Lake, I went there. I think I filmed a little fishing video a couple years ago over there when I was still kind of learning the rope. So that video it's not that good, but you can see what kind of a fish are in there. It's beautiful brook trout and rainbow trout that are in there, and they are stocked, but for whatever reason, they get nice and big. I would like to try One Island Lake again. The problem with One Island, though, is I think there is a massive amount of freshwater shrimp in that lake. So if you want to really catch fish, you have to be in there before the end of December because that's when the big hatch is for freshwater shrimp. So then after that, the fish are just gorged. People always say they're extremely hard to catch. That's because they're not hungry at all. They are so full of the freshwater shrimp that they just, it don't matter what you put in front of them. Like they're full. But supposedly, if you go in there before the end of December, before the big shrimp hatch, they're a little more hungry, and you're actually able to catch them. But I don't know. It's a lake that's on the to-do list, but it's low on that list. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of other places I'd rather go to before heading over there. Boulder Lake, that's 100% a snowmobile trip for there. As long as that gas plant doesn't get shut in, that's up on top of the hill, you should be able to drive that 17 kilometers in there and then just park off to the side, hopefully. And then from there, I'll be able to just take the sled, go down, it's like a kilometer-ish, to the bottom of the hill. And then to get in there, I'd probably have to take the sleigh off, break trail on the quad trail. It would have been a smart thing to do, would have been to walk in on that quad trail just to see how it is. But I mean, I don't know. It shouldn't be that bad, really. People take their quads in through there. Plus, when we walked in there, there's two trails to get into Boulder Lake. There's a quad trail and then the foot trail. And when you're going in there, it's kind of like wide open pine. So even if the quad trail is just kind of garbage, we should be able to kind of nitpick our way to the lake. It'd be kind of like at the trap line at the cabin where we had like a turnaround spot where really it was just a trail that zigzagged through the trees that eventually looped back to the front of the cabin, kind of a thing. But yeah, we should be all right going in there. But yeah, I'll just unhitch the sleigh at the bottom of the hill, find what trail works the best way, come back, hook onto the sleigh, and then head back out and go fishing. But one thing I want to do too is a few overnight trips. So Ingle Lake will for sure be one overnight trip. Just take what I used to do a few years ago before I bought my place out here in Buick is like on my days off I was in town and I hated being in town. So on my days off in the winter anyways, I would take my ice fishing tent, and it's a 6x12, and I'd go to Charlie Lake or Inga, and on one half of the tent I'd have my cot on the one side, and then I have like a collapsible fold up kitchen set, and I'd have that set up on the other side. So I'd have like whatever, my dishes, my little propane stove there, and all that. And then the other half of the tent, so the other 6x6 area, it was like the fishing zone. And usually what I'd do is I'd have two holes drilled. One was for at night, and one was for during the day. During the day, it was in the far corner, and I'd have like my propane heater in the center there. And then that way, it was just kind of out of the way, your chairs off to the side and all that stuff. And, you could fish there all day long and not a big deal. And then at night, I'd simply just pull my rod out of the far corner hole and drop it into the hole that was right at the head of my cot. So I could be laying down in bed, pretty well half asleep, and still fish. And there was a lot of fish that came out of that hole at like midnight, 2 in the morning, because you'd sleep for a little bit. You'd wake up because you got cold. You'd kick on the little buddy heater. It has an O2 sensor on it, but I still I don't trust that to go to sleep with it. I don't want to die out there from carbon monoxide, so I turn it off, have a nap or whatever. But anyways, you'd wake up, turn on the heater while you're waiting to warm up. I'd drop my line back in the water and catch one or two fish, and then you get nice and warm, you get all warmed up, turn off the heater, go back to bed, sleep for another kind of 4 hours or 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it was. And yeah, it was just a vicious cycle, but it was an amazing time. You wake up, grab your boots, throw your boots on, pretty well tap the little bit of crust of ice that was on your hole, get it opened back up, start fishing instantly, throw your line in the water, turn on your pot of water for oatmeal in the morning, have your bowl of oatmeal, maybe catch a fish or two, go outside, cut some firewood, bring it back, have a nice little campfire out on the ice, make hot chocolate, cook something over the fire, and I would do that for like 6 days at a time. And man, I tell you, it was just great. So I'd really like to do that again, but at multiple locations. I'd like to do. My schedule is slightly changed now, but I could do like probably 5 days. For sure 3 or 4, anyways. But I'd do Ingle Lake, maybe Boulder Lake, Boot Lake for sure. If I go in the early season, I might be able to hit up One Island Lake after, the end of December. I don't even think I'd waste my time at One Island, to be honest with you. But then there's also, like, Swan Lake and Charlie Lake, but those places, I've heard people catching fish at Swan Lake at one specific spot where it's pretty good. And then Charlie Lake, I don't like that lake at all. I don't even like going there in the summer. In the winter, I especially don't like it. I've spent, I don't know how many nights camping out there, and uh, even when I lived on the lake when we were a kid, we lived right on Lakeshore Drive, and every day after school, I'd go down, I'd drill 2 holes. One hole was to fill up our water cistern, because I'd pack out like a little Honda trash pump and hoses and stuff, pump pretty well the pond water basically, because it's such a crappy lake. But I'd pump the water into our cistern. While I was doing that, I'd set up a fishing line and I'd fish for whatever, from kind of 3 to, well, no, I got home probably about 4 o'clock after the bus and all that stuff. But it was like 4 to like 6:30, 7 o'clock kind of a thing, once it gets a little too dark kind of a deal. And I'd do that every day after school. And when I did that, I think at the end of February, I got 1 ling. So, and I started in like December. So December, January, and February, 3 months of fishing every day, I caught 1 fish. And then even now, me and my cousin Michael, well, almost, that's, how much time do we got? We got time for this story. So me and my cousin Michael, we went out to Charlie Lake, and we were determined to catch fish. The one year we went out every single chance that we could to try to find fish on Charlie Lake in the winter where you could like consistently catch them, because me and him are fishing freaks. And we had it set to where we were gonna go out and spend the night on Charlie Lake and just try to catch fish. We were gonna try jigging all night long if we had to. We were gonna try bottom bouncing, spoons, flashers, even spinners, jigs, whatever. Like we were ready to go. And it's one of those things where I've spent many nights out on the ice at that time. And I think with Michael, he was not quite ready for the temperature drop. And I mean, neither was I. Well, I kind of was. But yeah, it was one of those nights where it went from like -20 to about -38 within a couple of hours. And, you know, it was like we were just being stupid and stubborn, where we were already on the ice. We've been there for 3/4 of the day. We were just gonna suck it up and just keep fishing. Well, it got to be, I don't know, whatever time at night, and it was time to go to bed, probably midnight or something like that. And so I had my what the heck are they? They're like -50 boots. I had great big huge bib coveralls on, or the overalls kind of thing, that are insulated, and they're the ones that, like, when it's -40 at work, those are what I wear on top of like your insulation layer, and then your sweatpants, and then like ski pants, and then those bibs go on. And then for like clothing wise, it's always like the long underwear, long sleeve shirt, sweater, and then my great big huge -40 jacket. And then I wore that inside my -30 sleeping bag on my cot. And Michael, the poor guy, he had a couple of blankets and then just like a regular snowsuit, basically. And I mean, he had like some stuff on underneath too, you know, long johns and a hoodie and stuff. But he also didn't have a cot. He didn't have a sleeping bag. He just sat in a chair. He had a quilt, I think. So he just took his quilt, threw it on over top of him, and he just said, "Well, we're gonna try it." I get woken up. I guess I was like snoring away. Like I was out. I was nice and comfy, but I mean, the amount of stuff I had on It was incredible. He woke me up and he said, "Man, like, we gotta go." And so we just left everything. We just got up, unzipped the tent, closed it behind us. I left my cot, sleeping bag, fishing gear, everything. We didn't even hook onto the sleigh, I don't think, because he had his snowmobile out there. We pretty well just hopped onto the snowmobile, went up to his truck, quickly loaded it up. Even when it comes to like tying down the snowmobile, I don't think we really did much for tying it down. I think we just got out of there, kind of a thing. And yeah, by the time he said he got home, went inside, started a bath, and he was shivering so hard that he almost started puking, kind of a thing. And yeah, he sat in that bathtub for I think he said a couple of hours, and he just kept topping up with hot water, kind of thing, just to try to bring up his core temperature, because he 100% had hypothermia, and bad. Like that almost should have been like a hospital trip, to be honest with you. But yeah, he decided not to go, and he said he was cold for like 3 days. Like, it took him a long time to thaw out. Oh man, so yeah, I almost killed my cousin on Charlie Lake. There's that story for you guys. Oh man. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen this year. And we've definitely gotten better equipment. We're a little more set up for it now. So hopefully the next overnight trip that me and Michael do together goes a lot smoother. Plus, yeah. Oh man. But anyways, guys, I think with that story, I think I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna cut her there. Yeah, things are going great over there on the in the world of YouTube. So if you're just listening to this, we have a video version up on YouTube that you can go and check out. It's just search up Buick Outdoors on YouTube and you'll find us there. If you're already there and you want to listen to this podcast instead of watching it, when the next one comes out, again, search up the Buick Outdoors podcast. You'll find us on all major podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, Google, Spotify, Apple, uh, whatever else there is. I don't even know. I guess I should maybe kind of get my ducks in a row and figure out where exactly we're at. But yeah, just search the Buick Outdoors podcast and you'll find us. We're kind of all over the place. We're a little bit of everywhere. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you for watching and for listening to this. Make sure you like the video, give us a rating, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, guys, I'll see you on the next one.